Hey guys, welcome to another episode. It's been a long time since since I did a recording. There's a lot of changes that have happened in my life. One of them is a health issue I've been struggling with for roughly a year. Um, but what I've done recently is actually go on vacations, which is actually quite nice to experience, especially in my situation. Um, I have had the privilege to go to Bosnia and experience the Bosnian pyramids and the tunnels. And what I have gathered in my travel is something very beautiful, and I wanted to share with you guys, the public. First of all, if you guys don't know, Bosnia is where north of Greece, and it's in a place that used to be called Yugoslavia. And it's Bosnia and Herzegovina. In Bosnia, you have a lot of Muslims living there, and I stayed in the house of a beautiful Muslim couple, and I feel that the people there are very happy, they're very beautiful, very nice, very welcoming, and to be honest, it's one of the best places I've traveled to and actually stayed there for a few days. And the experience was it's one of my top five favorite countries of Europe to visit for sure, 100%. Not just because of the Bosnian pyramids or the tunnels or food, but the people itself that were so friendly and um, yeah, a simple hello goes a long way. And coming from living in the Netherlands for already a long time, um, that was something that shocked me. And a lot of people do live very simple lives, but they are so rich in many ways that they may not realize. And also, me living in Holland, I didn't realize that until I went there. Well, anyway, I went to the Bosnian pyramids, and I think I did that on the second day with my family, my girlfriend, and our two kids. We actually went to have the tour, and we after the tour, the gentleman, of course, explained a lot of things of the Bosnian pyramids, why it is a pyramid, why it's not. Um, it's for him, in his point of view, there's no debate. There's no debate. But also, I do feel that there's actual no debate. If you go there yourself, you're going to see why. In this video, I'm not going to talk too much about the Bosnian pyramid itself, but actually my own experiences, what I encountered, what I saw, what I felt. I will maybe be doing a different video on a general picture of the Bosnian pyramids and as to what it actually is, right? Um, well, we went on the tour, which is half an hour. The gentleman, which he's a local, he was also a Muslim person, and he was very kind as well. And so after the tour, he told us, you can do what you want. You can go up the pyramid. You can stay here. You can do what you will. He actually encouraged us to stay longer and just connect with the land a little bit. What we did is we went up some trails. I stopped after I think 20 or 30 meters from where he left us off, and actually laid on the pyramid, and I started to connect with the pyramid, kind of communicate, because I was really, really interested. This is actually why I wanted to go there. There was a calling to go to the Bosnian pyramid, and I started to connect with it. And what I actually saw is that the pyramid holds this energy. Um, it gathers this energy from the earth, and it actually is beaming it up. And the pyramid itself inside, um, it amplifies it almost like a laser. If you imagine like a thick, big laser that amplifies and it shoots the energy up like a beam. And because I had kids with me, I couldn't really go deep in it and really scan it with my own consciousness. The pyramid has three main layers: three, the base, the middle part, and then the top part, and they all each layer has a so the base, the middle, and the top part of the pyramid, um, they were created so that they do something with the energy. Each layer does something different with the energy that it gathers from the earth. And I could see it almost as if I was a bird, bird behind me, and I could just see the different layers and how the energy is being sucked up from the earth. Not sucking up's not maybe the right word, but it's gathering the energy and is beaming it upwards. And yeah, I was also shown that this pyramid was used for many reasons throughout its history. And I do feel that this pyramid was done at around a little bit before Atlantis time, to up the first, what do you call it, the first few years of Atlantis. So that is when it was also the most active in its recent history. And we also went all the way up to the pyramid, to the top of the pyramid, and there you can see the Bosnian flag, and there is also the ruins of a building that was constructed a couple of hundreds of years ago. Could be 500, 600 years ago. I'm not too sure. I don't remember quite much. Quite frankly, that was also not very interesting for me. But I do feel there's this serpent slash draconian energy around the pyramid. I will come back to the Bosnian pyramid, what I experienced, because it correlates with another structure or couple of structures that are near the Bosnian pyramids. Of course, the Bosnian pyramid is the main pyramid over there. There are other pyramids. There are many more pyramids in that region. There are also pyramids that are still to be excavated, and also pyramids that are still to be discovered in the region. Why do I say that? Because when I was driving to the Bosnian pyramid, which is in Visoko, just a little bit north of the capital, as I was driving to the Bosnian pyramids, you see a lot of other anomalies. And it's different when you see them, but when you feel into them, you know whether something is a pyramid or not a pyramid. At least I could feel it. So a little bit north from the Bosnian pyramids, a few kilometers, still in the town of Visoko, there are some caves. And I recall when you go to the main cave, the first, because you have a few different caves and it's all part of the same complex of caves. So the first cave that was discovered in, there is an entrance. In that entrance, before you go in, it is advised for you to put on a helmet. Now, we put on our helmets, my girlfriend and I, and we were waiting for the tour guide to come and introduce us to the caves. As he came, I already felt the energy, and it is a very quiet, very subtle energy, very relaxed energy, almost like harmonious in a way. When the gentleman came, he started to speak to us. And as he was talking to us, I actually noticed this very thin entity. I could see the silhouette of the entity at the entrance of the cave. And as I my consciousness looked at the entity was very slowly moving away from the entrance of the cave. But I knew that he knew, and he knew that I knew. We were locking into each other, and the entity just moved away, and then I was kind of ignoring it. I ignored it. I didn't really want to have this exchange of energy, but I know that if I wanted to, I actually could have. So we went into the cave and we saw some stones. We saw some caves that are still to, or some parts of the tunnel. Let's say tunnel. Um, some parts are still to be discovered. So you have the main tunnel area where you just walk, and you have other tunnels that are still to be dug out. And in those tunnels, you have a lot of sedimentary rocks, you have sand, a whole bunch of things that you can just dig out with a shovel. And what I found most interesting is the composition of the air in the cave and the elevated amount of oxygen, which is actually quite healing. You also find a lot of water, and there has been studies that this water heals people, and there are also weird clay stones and just stones, right? Not just clay stones, but stones. The further you go along into the cave, and it's also encouraged for you to sit down in the cave, spend time in the cave, and just touch some stones, or some people put their hands a little bit far from the stone. So let's say this is the stone, you just put your hand like 10 to 15 centimeters away from the stone, and you can actually feel the energy. You can feel a tingling sensation on your hand. When I touched the stone, it was a different feeling. I could actually, it sounds weird because when I touched it, I could hear the humming of a resonance. And I'm not sure now if it came from the stone or it's something that just the whole environment just had this humming. And I remember as I was walking out of the cave, I started to see these spiders, these spider beings, and the cave is pretty dark. Of course, there is lighting. You can see all the way throughout the, well, let me say tunnels, because it's more of a tunnel. So excuse my English, guys. So as I'm walking through the tunnels, as I was walking towards the exit, I started to see these spiders. And I saw these spiders dangling from the side of the cave. And they were quite big, and I would say they were maybe the size of my hand, if not, they were a little bit bigger. And I could see them dangling from the spider web. And it wasn't one occasion, it was many occasions that I saw them. And when I left the tunnel and I went home, I wanted to reconnect with that entity and those spiders. And the information that I got is that as things were happening on the earth, the tunnels were first constructed, or they were first dug out. And people wanted to, in a way, escape or run away from what was happening on the surface of the earth. And the humans living in that time, they started to communicate with these beings, these spider beings and these other entities. I'm not sure what it was, whether it was a humanoid or whether it was a snake-like creature, or what other people say, insectoids, but I didn't feel any fear emanating from them, more like a calm. And I remember connecting with that and thinking that people ran to them in a way, and they actually came out and started to help people, started to remind people that, you can connect with the earth and you can connect with us as well, and we're here to help you guys. And so humans and those entities made those tunnels together, and they placed certain things to have this energetic field in that area. And the pyramids were then built, but the tunnels were built first. And it was mainly to help people heal from what was happening, from all these technologies being implemented around the world. And yeah, that is a little bit of the story of the beginning of the Bosnian pyramid from my own experience. I will talk a bit on a later video, a little bit more about the actual pyramid and what it's doing. And also I want to talk about a little bit more about the tunnels, also at a later video, where I go more in depth as to how did these tunnels heal people, what the water is doing nowadays in the tunnels, but also just the energy vibration of that area. So that is a little bit my experience with the tunnels and the Bosnian pyramids. I think that I'm not the only one that has had this experience with these slanky, tall beings. And I would say it's the height of the being was maybe 2 meters and a bit more, 2 meters and a half. I would say 2 meters and a half. And yeah, and I just felt that they were here to help us, and they still are here to help us because we share this world and we shouldn't be afraid of them. And I think that there's gonna be a time that they will maybe reveal themselves, and it's not nothing to do with aliens. No, it's beings that have been here a long time ago. And if you heard my previous videos, you and I are all aliens. We all come from out there. But I'm also curious to hear from other people who has had experiences with those spider beings in particular, because I felt that they were there to witness me, to see me a little bit like old friends coming back together, and maybe you are there 15 minutes earlier and you are just there to see your friend because you're so eager, like, oh, I haven't seen him for a long time. Let me just be a little bit earlier so I can just, experience it with my own eyes a little bit before everyone else does, something like that. And I do truly advise everyone to go visit because it is a very magical place. And if you have the ability to tune into energies and see things beyond the physical, I truly, honestly advise everybody to go see it, because I feel like I want to go there. In a way, it felt like a little bit of home to me. It's a very beautiful feeling. And so that will be the end of this video, and stay tuned for the next videos where I'm gonna talk a little bit more about my health and the connection with the Bosnian tunnels. And at a later video, I also want to talk about the pyramid itself, the structure of the pyramid, and what it has been used for, because these pyramids, they have been used for many things, and good things and bad things. And I want to deep dive into these usage of these pyramids. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next videos coming soon.